If you're looking for conservative conversations, commentary and content, then Family First has them all. And best of all, thanks to our thousands of supporters, there's no paywall or pesky advertisements. Check out our lineup. Our regular video blog from Bob McCoskrie called McBlog, with a regular dose of commentary around social and family issues. Family Matters, with guests from around the world and here in New Zealand, focusing on a range of issues and hosted by Simon O'Connor. Built on Truth, as Samuel Bilton takes a youth-focused dive into some of the contemporary cultural issues. The No Fluff Zone with Ala Pomalele offers her candid insights on key social and moral topics. Our very popular weekly political analysis show, Straight Talk, with a panel of guests who are unashamedly and unapologetically social conservatives. Political Playback, Thursdays live at 5 p.m, as we discuss the week in Parliament and New Zealand politics in general from a conservative viewpoint. And our newest feature, Counterculture, a young team of panellists discussing faith, culture and the issues shaping millennials and Gen Z. Finally, start each weekday informed. 7:30 a.m. live Monday, Wednesday and Friday. Daybreak with Bob McCoskrie, as he gives an overview on key stories you need to be aware of. 7:30 a.m. live Tuesday and Thursday. A more in-depth discussion, Solid Ground with Simon O'Connor. You can access all these important discussions in the format that you prefer. Watch, read, listen. We will continue to promote strong families, marriages, religious freedom and the value of life based on the footprint of faith which has underpinned New Zealand for generations, and most importantly, be a voice for your values. Visit familyfirst.nz to see the full lineup and latest episodes. Go to familyfirst.nz and join the conversation.
Hello, New Zealand. It is Friday as we head into the weekend, and that is our new promo video. So there we are. You got to see it for the very first time, although Simon may have shown it yesterday, so maybe it's the second time, but it is very well done. And thanks to Gordon, our superb videographer, who just churns out these great looking videos. All right, let's quickly get into it. It is the 15th of May. Yeah, and I have got a nice shirt on because I've got a function to go to after this later on this morning. So that's why I look a bit tarted up this morning. Anyway, let's have a look at what the papers are talking about. The Herald's talking about basically understaffing in our health system, specifically at Waitakere Hospital. This is in Auckland. Stuff is talking about that tragedy, that Christchurch fire, the house on fire, 1 dead, 1 critical, 5 injured. The Post in Christchurch talking about insurance costs varying and obviously based around risk of where you live. Well, that's no different to normal, is it? The Press in Christchurch talking about some Wagyu beef empire collapse. Radio New Zealand is talking about a delay in the controversial curriculum change and teachers claiming victory on that one. I'll come back to that one. One News is talking about the move-on orders. Will they fix trouble on our streets? That's the lead story. And ZB is just copying News Talk, the Herald, with the story about chronic understaffing. In fact, maybe I shouldn't cover News Talk ZB because they seem to just copy the Herald. All right, there's a couple of stories that I do want to cover. Firstly, this is a scene outside Parliament buildings, and normally you would have the New Zealand flag in the middle and then state country flags, visiting country dignitaries, etc. And as you'll see there are woke flags. There is flags celebrating sexuality and gender identity. Winston Peters was right to raise the issue in the House yesterday.
I ask as to why there are so many flags flying outside this Parliament at the moment, and where in visiting delegations from other countries are given a secondary position. How did that arise, and what's the authority or mandate for that?
No, they're not given a secondary position. Either side of the parliamentary steps, which
Okay, now this is quite funny because this is the Speaker of the House trying to explain what the flags are. Why doesn't he just say they're woke LGBT flags? But anyway, have a listen to his description.
The primary position. The other flags on the forecourt are the New Zealand flags, and then flags that represent a particular, I can't remember exactly, it's the exactly what they are, but they traditionally have been flown for quite some years on this particular date. There is no intention to offer any slight to anybody. The two flagpoles that are either side of Parliamentary steps are the premium sites for flags and to welcome visitors.
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, look at that. That is woke virtue signalling. Actually, New Zealand First has a bill to say that you can only fly official flags outside, but that's what Parliament looks like at the moment. And part of the reason is because it's LGBT Indoctrination Day today under the guise of Pink Shirt Day. This was an email that I got, which was, well, it was the first email of the week. It said, thank you for the timely reminder, because we sent out a advisory to all our supporters. Tens of thousands of you got this saying, hey, look, Pink Shirt Day is under the guise of anti-bullying, but it's actually indoctrinating kids with LGBT, and it's funding groups like Inside Out and radical groups who want to indoctrinate your kids. And this was, thank you for the timely reminder. And the rest home I live in, we have Pink Shirt Day. I thought it was just another fun day and was all set to wear pink and wearing blue instead. Keep up your good work. So that was a great one. I mean, the problem with pink, of course, it also clashes with the Breast Foundation, Cancer Foundation, doesn't it? But then I got this one. Thank you for sharing the information about Pink Shirt Day and the concerning LGBTQIA agenda. I found out earlier this week that my daughter's school would be taking part in it. I was rather upset because she goes to a Christian school. I emailed the principal, included your video about the real reasons behind Pink Shirt Day. The principal was really supportive. She had no idea, and there was nothing else on the internet about it. Okay, well, maybe the principal needs Google. The school has now decided that children can wear any bright colour today, or it's today now. Our daughter will wear orange. I hope more schools become aware of this. Look, can I just be quite blunt? If schools say that they're not aware of the background of Pink Shirt Day, they possibly shouldn't be educating your kids. Because if they can't research the basics of a day that they're celebrating and getting kids to dress up, and they haven't examined the reason they're doing it, you've got to ask some big questions. And look, there is AIA Vitality. I'm not sure if you're with them, but yeah, they're one of the key sponsors. I did see this though. This is fascinating. UniQ Waikato are holding a well, yesterday they held a die-in. That's an interesting term. A die-in. They're all dying to be there. And they're dying to have gender-affirming hormone treatment. And basically, they want the facilities to chemicalise and castrate gender-confused people. But what's fascinating is that this is at the University of Waikato. The University of Waikato is where the Trans Health Research Lab is, the so-called, it's radical activists who pump out crap research on transgender issues, trying to argue that you can change your sex and that puberty blockers are harmless, etc. And it's also the basis of where PATHA is, the radical group that's got the injunction trying to stop the ban on puberty blockers, which is connected to WPATH. So it's the University of Waikato is kind of the epicenter of all this wacky thinking. And here they are, that Student Health has disestablished their pathway to this whole model. So, yeah, that is absolutely fascinating. Now, Chloe Cole, she spoke at our conference a couple of years ago. She was going to speak at the University of Washington. The left are so threatened by a debate of ideas that they actually threatened her safety. She put out a video on this.
As many of you may know now, I was scheduled to speak tomorrow at an event at University of Washington hosted by TPUSA's local chapter there. I'm putting this video out because, as you may have heard, Antifa has assembled a local militia, in their own words, to shut down this event. Their actions, their explicit threats on my life, have raised this event to national attention. A level of attention our security team and the local PD are frankly unprepared for. Before Charlie Kirk's assassination, I think I would have been less careful. But the times have changed, and speaking on a university campus in 2026 can come with deadly consequences. We are postponing this event because of this reality. I am not afraid of Antifa. The reason I'm speaking out at all is because I've already walked and escaped my own personal hell. It's hard to shake me. And some ragtag group of wannabe revolutionaries on cross-sex hormones certainly won't shake me. But there's a difference between being brave and being stupid.
Yeah, so I mean, that's unfortunately the left don't want to debate. That is the difference between left-wing groups and right-wing groups, is that left-wing groups unfortunately have a bad reputation for not wanting to debate and just threatening and trying to shut down. Classic example, Posey Parker. Couldn't even have the debate, just had to shut it down. Funny story, I mean, obviously everyone's thinking about the FIFA World Cup that's coming up, and Iran is at the game. In fact, New Zealand is playing Iran. Iran is also playing Egypt, and they're all in the same group, you see. And the Iranian team, the Football Federation, has said they've put in some demands for their appearance. And one of the demands is that only officially recognised flags be displayed during the matches involving Iran, which would effectively ban LGBTQIA plus QWERTY flags. And of course, not only that, but FIFA scheduled a Pride game. The problem was that they scheduled the Pride game before they knew the teams that were involved, and the teams involved were Iran and Egypt, who haven't got a great record in the whole Pride LGBTQ QWERTY thing, have they? And so that's a little bit awkward. I'm not quite sure what they've decided to do there. So that will be fascinating. Now, Katie Faust, she spoke at our conference a couple of years ago. She was on the front page of the Seattle Times on Mother's Day in the US, so last Sunday. And yeah, they're after her because she's part of this national effort to end same-sex marriage. In fact, Simon did a great interview with her for Family Matters. I think it was published just last week, putting kids first in marriage. But anyway, she is public enemy number one, according to the media, because we've realized that the whole same-sex marriage thing was just a stepping stone to gender confusion, kids being denied their right to a mum or to a dad. Now we've got drag queens. We can't define what a woman is. I'll come back to that one. So, yeah, look, I think pray for Katie Faust, and just she's doing an amazing job. And watch that interview. It's on our website. Now, a actor, Billy Bob Thornton, I don't know if you know him. I mean, he's quite a fun actor. But anyway, he came out with a really great idea. Have a listen.
To me, is way more important than an actor or actress or musician telling people, like you said, who to vote for, because it's like, I mean, some guy's on the fence, you know, and it's like, well, Dash Riprock said it on the Golden Globes, so I'm voting for, you know, it's like, I mean, I don't know anything about politics. I have no idea. I mean, and the stuff that I believe about it, I don't want to force it down somebody else's throat because I'm not an expert on that.
Oh, there we go. There's a new idea. Maybe celebrities should just keep their politics to themselves. And every time you watch those award shows that Hollywood runs and they do their political statements from the stage, maybe they should just focus on improving their acting and making better movies. Yeah, there's a unique thought. All right. Now, great decision yesterday by the government on palliative care for children, increasing the service so it is available nationwide. Simeon Brown, the Minister of Health, made that announcement.
This budget has required careful choices, but supporting families through some of the most challenging times they will ever face is exactly why those choices matter, because it allows us to invest in care that is not just effective, but compassionate and meaningful. I want to thank my Cabinet colleagues, and in particular the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, for their support of this investment.
Yeah, so I mean, that was a very great decision, and it basically means that palliative care for children, there'll be centres around New Zealand, 14 million over 4 years or something. There's only one at the moment, and it's based at Starship in Auckland. So that's tough on families at an already tough time. Chris Hipkins came out with a kind of a policy statement. Have a listen to it and see if you can figure out what the actual policy statement was.
It's now very, very clear that some political parties are revelling in the current economic conditions the country faces.
Oh.
Because they're seeking to play on fear, to play on anxiety, and to divide people for their own political purposes.
Okay, now you're right. His lips aren't moving. It's because it's an audio. I probably should have told you that. I just grabbed an image. This is him on radio. Okay, but he's saying that people shouldn't operate on fear, and that parties are using fear against the economy. But have a listen to the groups he breaks it down to.
Blaming migrants, blaming Māori, blaming the rainbow community, those with disabilities, the young, the old.
Well, that's just about everybody, Chris.
Anybody who can be deemed to be othered. Blame is the easy way out rather than solutions, which are more complicated.
The only complicated part of that was understanding what the actual policy was that he was announcing. Anyway, look, I will come back to him. There was a debate on social media ban in Parliament on, when was it? Wednesday. What's today? Friday. Yeah, Wednesday. A couple of good statements made. Erica Stanford, who obviously, as Minister of Education, has sort of been overseeing this thing, she just made a very good analogy.
When cars got faster, we added seatbelts. When cars got faster, we added airbags and ABS, and you can't use a phone. And we mandated that you had to have a seatbelt. We now have the most powerful device in the world imaginable in the hands of our children, and there are very few regulations to keep them safe. And frankly, parents, not only in New Zealand but around the world, are feeling completely helpless. And I've heard it, and you will all hear it from the social media giants, but we have parental controls, they say. But there are so many of these platforms, and they are so difficult to navigate with us, whatever we are, X, Y, Z, the old people like me, who didn't grow up with this. It is a completely new world to us, and trying to navigate all of these controls across all of these platforms, half of them we never even heard of.
Yes, I mean, some very good statements. Interesting, this just came out this morning, is that they've put the ban on hold. Now, this is interesting because Christopher Luxon said that something would definitely be in place before the election, or at least a proposal. So, it's been put on hold. Look, it could be a good thing because maybe they're wanting more time to observe how the Australian version goes and whether it's a success and whether they can get around some of the chinks in the policy, that are being revealed. So, look, I think that one is worth watching. What is classic is, and I played this on Political Playback, you might have seen it, Chloe from the Greens comes up with her debate on the ban on social media. And even when you're talking about social media, somehow she can bring in the issue of the war on drugs. Yeah.
In drug harm regulation and the kind of evidence that has emerged over the past 40 to 50 years of the failure of the war on drugs, there's an understanding that there's kind of a spectrum of approaches that you can take to drug harm minimisation, or arguably to drug harm minimisation. At one end of the extreme, there's a complete criminal prohibition, and at the other end of the extreme, there is a complete legal free market. Live and let live, c'est la vie, people can do whatever they want. At both ends of that extreme, Mr. Speaker, in the context of drugs, you end up with the maximisation of harm. Because whether it is criminal entities or commercial entities exploiting vulnerable people to make a quick buck, vulnerable people are being exploited to make a quick buck.
Okay, well, if you can understand that, please let me know. I mean, we're comparing a social media ban, talking about age appropriability, a little bit like the way we deal with alcohol for under 18s, or the way we deal with driving licenses or getting married, those type of things. But somehow Chloe can bring it into the war on drugs. Anyway. Now, the other bit of news this morning is that the curriculum changes in primary schools have been delayed also. Not all of them. The science one is still going on, but there are some subjects that have been delayed. That's you might have seen the headlines that I read out of what is it? Was it Radio News? Yeah, it was Radio New Zealand. Teachers claiming victory. They've got the delay on the curriculum because apparently they're too busy. I mean, tongue in cheek, we give them 6 weeks in December, January. They could have worked on it then. But anyway, I'll get in trouble for saying that. But yeah, they're going to delay it. So it's interesting. Look, just the two stories that Erica Stanford has delayed the social media ban, and then she's also delayed the new curriculum rollout. So obviously the government's getting some feedback that if they want to be re-elected, they just need to slow the bus, which I'm not sure that's necessarily a good thing, but anyway, that's their decision. Latest poll, the media are focused on the fact that National is still under 30%. Well, they're 29, and there's a margin of error of 3%, plus or minus. So they could be 32, by the way. Yeah. But what is most important about this poll? Well, there's two things. Firstly, if you count up National, New Zealand First, and ACT, they win because the Green vote and Pāti Māori vote is so low. But here's the other interesting thing that a lot of people didn't pick up is the preferred Prime Minister rankings. You have got Chris Hipkins on 23, down from 27. You've got Christopher Luxon, who's on 20, down from 21. Christopher Luxon has never gone far from the 20% mark. In all these polls, since he's been Prime Minister, he's always been around the 20% mark. But here's the interesting one. Winston Peters, in the last poll in December, was on 10. Now he's on 17. He's only 3 behind Luxon and another 3 behind Hipkins. So, yeah. Is Winston doing a Pauline Hanson, Nigel Farage? And the fascinating thing is that since the 2 weekend elections in the UK and Australia, One Nation in Australia is level pegging with the government, and in the UK, Reform is level pegging with the Labour. Oh, I did predict on Wednesday and Monday, I think, that Starmer would be gone. Well, he's not quite gone, but I don't know how he's hanging in there. He's hanging on with all his fingernails. All right. This was a funny story. A strong smell led cops to a trailer load of cannabis. Yeah, and the smell of cannabis does that. It's funny. I mean, what people don't understand, if we'd legalized cannabis, you would have smelt it across the nation. When I went to Colorado and Vancouver and places in California where they've legalized, and you probably know this, the smell of dope is very, very strong, and it is a little bit of a giveaway. Digital licenses are coming out. Are you going to get one? Personally, I think it's a great idea because I hate turning up to rent a car and I've forgotten my license, and they want the physical one, even though, they could look it up or I've got photos of it. No, it's digital. So yeah, might be a little bit handy. I mean, my passport's already digitally online as well. Now, important notice, the definition of man and woman bill is having its first reading next Wednesday. So you need to contact your local MP and tell them to vote for biology, and it will affect how you vote for them, your local MP or local list MP. And if you want some more details, I did a blog on this and interviewed Winston Peters. That's available on our website. It's the latest one. So check it out. Winston explains what the law's about. Will it work? How he answers the critics. I also asked him whether he's going to go with Labour at the next after the next election. Could he go with Labour? He gives a pretty unequivocal response. Somebody who may not be able to figure out the definition of woman and man bill, of course, is Chris Hipkins. Do you remember back a couple of years when he was asked what is a woman?
I just wanted to ask you, given comments by Keir Starmer in Britain, how do you and how does this government define a woman?
To be honest, Sean, that question's come slightly out of left field for me. Biology, sex, gender, people define themselves, people define their own.
Oh, so people define themselves. So anyway, last year he was asked about it again. He said he'd had to think about it.
Oh, I mean, look, I reflected on that interview quite a lot since it wasn't an interview, it was a press conference, and that question at the press conference quite a lot since then, because it did, I could have answered that question a lot better than
How would you answer it now then? What is a woman?
Well, I'd answer ultimately with the same thing. A woman is someone who regards themselves as a woman.
Oh, okay. So it's the same thing. But then he appears on another media outlet and slightly different answer.
What's a woman?
Ryan, I'm not getting into the culture wars that Winston Peters desperately wants. If he wants to put police on the toilets, on the doors of every public toilet, he can do that. But the reality here is I think New Zealanders want to see us focus on the big issues that affect the country.
But it's kind of, I mean, look, I agree, it's a bit of a sideshow, but can you not just say, I mean, what have you changed your opinion? What is a woman?
An adult female is a woman.
Oh, okay. So he sort of has figured it out, but he depends what media outlet he is on. However, I do want to just ask you, has Chris Hipkins lost the election with an interview he did this week? And it's about Auckland. And basically he made the implication. So what he did was, I mean, we know that National, ACT and New Zealand First are at war with the media, but Chris Hipkins is now at war with the media. So it's politicians versus the media. But he came out with a statement that basically Auckland has totally got over all the lockdowns and Hipkins' management of COVID. And it's a fascinating interview. Just have a listen to a clip. I put this mashup together to post online.
I'm furious. I just heard the news. Before we get into this migrant stuff, what is this about no one cares about the Auckland lockdowns except for ZB anymore? You want to explain that?
Oh, I never said that, Heather. What I said was,
Hold on, let me quote you, because in the stand-up, a reporter not from News Talk ZB asked you about the COVID lockdowns, and you said, not one person outside of News Talk ZB is continuing to raise that with us.
Have the people of Auckland forgiven you for the length of those lockdowns? Because this is your pitch now for the future of Auckland, and yet you talk to people in the street and they're still angry, aren't they, about...
The ironic part about this is that this is not a News Talk ZB asking the question. It's Adam, I've forgotten his surname, from TV3.
What happens?
Oh, not one person outside of News Talk ZB is continuing to raise that with us. Auckland is by and large focused on the future. They want to know what we're going to do in the future.
That's correct.
Okay, so now you will hear how angry News Talk ZB are about this. In fact, Mike Hosking had a swerve at it this morning as well. But anyway, have a listen to Heather's response.
Correct. People aren't raising it. We've been doing public meetings across Auckland. You know, as I said, News Talk ZB still raise it, but most people aren't.
No, most people or all people?
Well, it's not been raised with me by anybody else.
Nobody. Are you telling me in the city of Auckland, nobody except for people employed by News Talk ZB have raised the lockdowns with you?
That is correct.
Except, of course, for the reporter who raised it with you, who was not from News Talk ZB.
Well, no, it was a member of it.
Can I tell you why I'm so irritated by this, Chippy? Because what you're suggesting is that this is some sort of an ideological campaign that ZB is executing on you, when the reason I am angry about it on a personal level is not because of who I'm employed by, it's because I had to live through the crap you put me through.
Yeah. Look, we thought it was just the government that was against the media, but now you've got all politicians from both sides, including Chris Hipkins. But like I say at the beginning, has Chris Hipkins just lost the election because he has to win Auckland? That's why they lost in 2023. They lost Auckland. Has Auckland forgotten about what happened during COVID? And does Chris Hipkins constantly denying and saying we've all moved on actually just re-integrate or re-traumatize it? You know, it's kind of, why doesn't he just admit, yeah, we stuffed up? But he just won't. The other person at war, obviously, with the media is Winston Peters, and he had this very funny interview with Tova O'Brien earlier this week. It's worth just watch his opening joke.
Winston Peters, Morena, thank you very much for joining us.
When are you moving to Wellington?
When am I moving to Wellington? You're missing me.
There's a vacancy. Jerry Omega.
What,
Mikey Sherman.
Judith Collins leaving?
No,
you want me to be the Minister of Defence?
Okay, very funny joke about Mikey Sherman having just been sacked, and you know she should move to Wellington.
Are you being dishonest, Mr. Peters, as the Prime Minister has asserted?
Of course not. Of course not. Look, this has been around for decades after decade after decade. Please, let's have some real conversations here about what is important. And let me tell you something that people keep on forgetting.
Okay, and they're talking about raising the retirement age.
It's only 5.2% of our GDP. Half of what other countries are striving to do combat. And so it's not the problem at all. My answer to them is if you can't run the economy, get out of the way and let somebody can run the economy.
All right. It's Treasury that's saying that the scheme is unaffordable unless those policy settings...
Here we go.
Surprise. They were the guys that came up with the surtax
in the 80s, remember?
And so are you saying that you wouldn't return National and Christopher Luxon to power if they refuse to back down on that policy?
Look, don't tell me how to negotiate.
What about if National said that it would pass the changes with votes from other parties while it was in coalition with you, without your votes?
Silence.
Didn't you hear what I just said?
Okay, so you would ensure that they wouldn't do it, full stop, grounds for divorce.
Oh, I don't know what I'll do with you people. I mean, maybe you're going back on your word is your specialty. It's not mine.
Yeah, it went on a little bit longer, but look, just for time's sake. Look, I just got to finish with this. Somebody sent me this video. They've used AI. Where is it? This is your special treat for Friday morning. I'm going to leave you with this. And it's absolutely amazing about far right. Just note, it is AI.
Right on the front page now, the radio now, the TV now, they are reporting far right on the front page.
Actually, I didn't start it at the beginning. Hang on, let's just start again. Here we go. Okay, so there's a new term for you this morning on a Monday, 11th of May. We've got far right.
They are reporting far right on the front page now. The radio now, the TV now, they are reporting far right on the front page now. Right. Hi, I'm Bob. They are reporting far right on the morning show, the lunchtime show, the evening show. They are reporting far right everywhere we go, blow after blow after blow.
There's Simon.
Truth telling on the planet Earth. Bob McCoskey tells the truth even though some it hurts. Every headline, every standing up for what is right. Someone's accused of being far right. Paper spinning, stories fast. Labels flying first, checking the facts is last. Pop just sighs and shakes his head, then leans right in and this is what he said. They are reporting far right on the front page now. The radio now, the TV now. They are reporting far right on the
Quite
front
catchy, eh?
page now. Right, they are reporting far right in the interview. The reporters too, that's just their view. If they don't like what you say or do, that's the label they give you. Old school Christian suit and tie, talking family values while the critics cry, calling out every podcast, every clip, media reaching for the same old script. Discrimination here and a funded outrage, making headlines on every page. Bob just laughs and rolls his eyes, then drags the phrase out 10 more miles. They are reporting far right on the front page now. The radio now, the TV now. They are reporting far right on the front page now. Right, there's far right in the headlines too, local papers too, and blogging too. If you question anything, then the phrase belongs to you. Wait a minute. I just said I believe in traditional marriage. And now
about the
I'm
far
right. I believe in the truth. Look out for our families and our youth. Spread the truth. Expose their lies. Happy to be called a far right guy. Far right. Stretch the word with all your might. By tomorrow morning light, we'll still be far right.
Far right.
Far right.
Far right.
Far right. And we've got right. I think that's actually a compliment, isn't it? Thank you, Karen Bennett. Obviously been working hard on AI. That's our theme song from now on. All right, we are out of here. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday morning.